Honestly, Trump went in and started fighting with and firing everyone. What do you think of the chance that he starts a massive infighting war with Elon and RFK and they all turn on each other? It'll probably happen. I mean, look at every single person that's been around Trump. They've all been like infighting and he's like abandoned all of them. They've all hated him. So, yeah. Destiny, the audio engineer, Limeo, his hubris will be his downfall. True. I remember when people said that about me in 2011 when I would never get partnered by Team Liquid, in 2013 when I quit playing StarCraft 2, in 2016 when I started to talk about politics, in 2016 when Trump got elected and won the election, in 2019, 2020, yes. One of these times it's going to be the right call. Yes, you're on there. Okay, keep going. 2022 when I got banned from Twitch. 2024 when we made fun of Corey the Exploder Brain. I don't even know all these. Hold on. Do you think one of the big reasons why the election swung so hard was that we lost in the messaging game? Possibly, right? Again, and remember, conservatives are so good at this, like this accusation shit, right? Conservatives talk about like the deep state and the media and all that shit. Bro, the conservative media sphere is in lockstep alignment with each other, right? Tim Pool, Joe Rogan, the Daily Wire, like all the Fox News, every single part of the conservative media apparatus is in lockstep when it comes to messaging and sycophantic support for Donald Trump. And then they will excise anybody that's not in line with the messaging. And they're so good at that, at consistently doing it from top to bottom. But I don't know how you fight that. Like, it's a cult, right? I don't know how you fight that, you know? What is this? Oh, based. We were trolling about the Ukraine-Russia stuff you said 10 minutes ago. About what? I don't think we're going to see a black or woman being nominated for at least 30 years for the selection. I don't think this people are going to say, but I don't think it had anything with being a black person or a woman. I don't think it had anything to do with this election. We need our own companies like those, right? And we need to coalesce with people like Mediasan and New. Well, the problem is that, like, no. The issue, it's just hard because you like, do you want to exist in that environment where, like, if one side is going to do like crazy like lies and misinformation constantly, like you have to engage in saying, like, that's just like a clusterfuck of shit. I don't know. I'm not sure. Do you think that Kamala's political career is donezo? I have no clue. Are there any guardrails that can be put up before Biden leaves? You can't really put up guardrails when somebody wants to, like, guardrails are there to guide you. They're not there to prevent a car from, like, driving head off into the river. Would you say that the Trump victory solidifies that misinformation, AI slop, and that all that shit is acceptable norms now? Yeah, of course. And trying to buy off voters and all that shit, yeah. Again, because there's no punishment for it. Again, it's like people respond very predictably to certain incentives, yeah. Are you watching Kamala's speech? Nope, don't care. Do you think Democrats need to adopt some better lefty/progressive platforms, disregarding messaging and communication? No, it goes deeper than that. I don't think that playing within the current rule set, I don't know if progressives or liberals could do anything to win. I don't think that it's a winnable game right now for. I don't think it's a winnable game right now for progressives. Fuck progressives, for liberals. Because remember, like here's the issue: if you're a liberal, you can't say that the economy was bad under Biden because then you can't take credit for anything you've done. But you can't say the economy is good because now you're out of touch, right? So you're fucked on that. But if you're Donald Trump, you can simultaneously say we need to make America great again as you run for president, even though you were just president. But you can also say that like things are horrible and they need to be made better, even though it was your shit. But then you can like run for president in 2024 and say, remember where you were 4 years ago? Well, 4 years ago, the American population voted you out of office. So what? How could that even make sense? 4 years ago, the American population was so unhappy with you, they voted you out and they voted in Joe Biden. But again, it's a totally different set of standards. So the idea that there's like some way to win in the current paradigm or in the current game for liberals is just not. It's not possible. You can't. I don't think you can fight in this paradigm. So you have to change it. You have to change the paradigm. How much of an influence was Elon buying Twitter? Probably a decent chunk. Who knows? That's a pretty big meme. I don't know when we'll talk about that. If that might be like a thing for historians, but the Elon stuff is probably some of the most like oligarchical behavior in U.S. history. Although I say that, I would have to look back at the oh fuck, what was the huge oil people? Was it Rockefeller? What didn't is that what I'm thinking of? I don't know what their influence on politics and everything was. I just don't have the U.S. history knowledge in my brain to check. Standard Oil maybe? I'd have to go back and check out. I don't know, but the Elon shit is probably some of the I think of all the takeaways, I think the Elon Musk shit is probably the highlight scariest thing that's happened for several reasons. One is because it showed that conservatives have no principles or values. Remember how in the past like 4 to 8 years, remember how I've said over and over again, I'm like, I wish that this would happen. I wish we could just run this one more time and see what conservatives, I wish we could have it, right? Elon Musk is a foreigner who purchased a huge social media network, took it public to private, fired 80% of the staff, increased massively the amount of bots on the platform, made it impossible to tell who was real and who wasn't real, blatantly sided with one political party, blatantly engaged in like massive voter basically purchasing, right? The $1 million lottery and shit to sign people up. That was all, by the way, bullshit because he only gave that money to people that they handpicked. That's all been said, by the way. Is like a billionaire and personal friends with the other billionaire guy who's running for president. Has a company that's trying to learn how to install microchips in people's brains. Is the owner of 2 or 3 incredibly important businesses in the United States, some of which you could argue are essential to national security, like spaceships and satellites. What else? Like, it's just like, Elon Musk is so much worse than what they even accused George Soros of being, and conservatives don't care at all. They literally don't care at all, not even close, right? Like, remember, when Hillary Clinton was running for office, people accused her of secretly being in charge of a company that sold our uranium to Russia. When Elon Musk, who's in charge of launching our rockets and our satellites, is talking to Putin, conservatives are like, who cares, right? So in one sense, I think Elon Musk showed you who conservatives really were as people. So that's a thing to keep in mind, which is very disappointing. But then the second thing as well is the buying of a platform and the propagation and the shameless spreading of total disinformation, whether we're just talking like blatant AI like videos and shit, and then just like retweeting lies and all that, doesn't bode well for the future of democracy. That's a pretty big, the Elon Musk stuff I think is probably some of the worst stuff. Yeah. Even if you bring all this up to a Republican, they will just be like, well, I don't like Elon, but I still like Trump, so who cares who he hangs out with? Yeah, sure, I guess. But I mean, like, go reach out to all of your centrist friends and see how many of them are like, wow, Trump won. That's pretty, oof. Rather than like, yeah, Trump. Go find out how many of them, yeah. Do you think that Elon will legit get a position in the cabinet? Who knows? Who knows? that cabinet's going to be mighty interesting. We're going to be learning a lot about the government this election cycle. Actually, wait, I need to do shit. Is Kamala doing a speech? You can get away with anything just because you're right wing and needs to be studied. They simultaneously are in the attack position and the victim position. True. There are a lot of weird parallels. Maybe, fuck, I need to read more. Oh, I have more time now. Back to reading books. I need to read a lot of those old cringe books. Fuck, I bought a few of them. I just haven't started them yet. Like a couple by fucking Rawls and like the early cringy philosopher dudes. I'm saying cringy. They're not cringy. I'm sorry. I'm just memeing. I wonder sometimes how much is like an extrapolation from just basic human behavior in that Conflict and Culture of the Middle East book. One thing that I thought was kind of funny was when, I wish I could remember the name for this, but it's all Arabic. But there's this, when there's been a feud between two different parties, and then a third party is brought in that's equidistant in relationship from both to settle the feud. When the parties come together in order to settle the feud, there's like a process that they go through, which is funny. And I think part of that process is both sides will come forward and they will talk about, I think the first thing they do is they talk about the injuries that they suffered from the other side, because one side is going to have to pay restitution. But then the second thing they do is they come up and they talk about how actually they didn't suffer at all, how they actually won the conflict. They did better than the other side. They were so much better. Even if they're the side that lost and they need to get, and they're being paid restitution, right? Ultimately, you would always know who the winner and loser was based on who had to pay who in order to make things right. But it was just funny that as part of that process, there's a stage where the side that had been wronged, that was being paid restitution, is also saying that, like, well, actually, we didn't do anything bad at all, and we actually won everything, and we were the best. And I just find there's a lot of weird parallels. Do you think Europe in general will get affected because of Trump? I think that the issue is there's a lot of things right now in the world that are working because the United States is kind of like the leader of the free world. And as we move towards a more multipolar world, those things are going to change. And I don't know, we'll see how that impacts us. But again, remember, the problem is, because of the transcendent idea, or the transcendental idea, that everything bad is from the left and everything good comes from Trump, if things start getting bad, Republicans don't have the ability to connect it to any of their behavior. It will always be blamed on somebody else. So again, if Trump rises in power and tariffs everybody and things get more expensive domestically, people are just going to blame Biden for inflation, or they'll blame the Federal Reserve, or they'll blame the lack of the gold standard, or they'll blame some other, like, there's always going to be somebody. It's never, ever, 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 ever their own behavior. They never have to take accountability for their own behavior. As long as that fundamental, like, disconnect exists, then yeah, nothing will change. You can't. Yeah. Are you going to soon to discuss election stuff? Maybe. They asked me to, but I asked who's going to be on the panel, so. Oh, Scaramucci will be there? Hell yes. Yeah, I can join. Oh, thank God, yes. I love that guy. Talked to him one time. Could you give us some hopium? Do you think there's going to be solutions developed by smarter people regarding misinformation and shit like that? I don't know. I'll figure out what I want to do for the next few years. I'll probably think about that tonight or something, yeah. Or I'll do it tomorrow on stream because I think I have anything else tonight. Have you ever done a video or stream breaking down how you approach doing research towards a topic and avoid innate internal biases that you may have? I mean, I've talked about it a ton, but there's just not much interest in stuff like that. The unfortunate reality is stuff like that is like working out. Like you can go and watch 50 million videos on working out, but like the reality is that it's not, you don't really need to know much. Like you go to the gym, you have some fucking routine, even if it's a dog shit routine, like eat at least 50 grams of protein a day and like get at least 7.5 hours sleep a night and you're probably going to grow. That's it. Like, you know, like, do you need one gram per kilogram? Do you need creatine? Do you need optimal sleep? Like, yeah, you give them to max whatever, but like, chances are if you just do anything, you're probably better. And it's the same thing with like research and biases. If you're willing to read a lot and just like not like be aware that you know, sometimes your heart is like, there's no shortcut. There's no like secret fucking technique or whatever. The reasons why people fall into misinformation and bias is not really because, you know, they're exercising high levels of cognition or they're just failing. It's usually just because they're believing like random shit they hear because of the social groups and everything. Right? It's, yeah. But do you think going back to history and reading on international affairs, et cetera, may take a central place in your streams? Yeah, there's like a whole list of topics that I wanted to research. Now that we're through the election shit, yeah, I'll probably just start reading. I had like a list of things I wanted to run down. I don't know if we'll read the Mueller report now. I think that'll be too depressing. I don't think I can handle it because there's no point because Republican. Yeah, Jesus. A school arc would be fun, true. Do you think the Democratic Party will want to invest more in online spaces, similar to what Republicans seem to have done over the years with stuff like the DOI? Maybe, but it's hard to compete in those spaces because it's a different set of rules. You keep trying to think of like how to, like, it's like an MMA fighter, but you're going to fight people that are showing up with like swords or machetes, and you keep trying to think like, okay, well, what if I focus more on like triceps instead of my chest, or like what if we do more pulling exercises, or like maybe I just need to eat more, or like they're playing a totally different game and you're trying to play the game using two sets of rules. There's nothing you can do. It doesn't work that way. You can never ever win in that paradigm. You can't do it. Or it's like a boxer trying to fight somebody doing MMA, right? Yeah. Or it's like a boxer like you just can't. You can't do. You're in a totally different. They're played by a totally different set of rules. Damn, Kamala. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Do you ever do leisure reading to detoxic from the constant streamlining of purely analytical thinking and constant problem-solving frame of mind? No, but everything that I'm problem solving, everything that I'm analyzing or whatever, it's all stuff that I enjoy doing. Like, it's fun for me, right? Like, somebody could be in that frame of mind 24/7 for like D&D or for StarCraft for me, right? Like, it's yeah. Do you ever think the term limit of 4 years is too short for people to understand if a government is doing well? People loved FDR because he was around long enough to get things done and see the ideas of his government play out. I don't know. I don't really know why we have term limits for presidents. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. What other topics do you want to research next? They're all on my Obsidian. The things to create notes on. It's just the stuff I have listed down here. Do you think that Tim Walz would have done better than Kamala? Like I said, I think it was just a vibes on the economy, basically. Inflation was bad for a few years after COVID. And I think that's what people voted on. I think that was it. I don't think there was anything. I don't know if there's anything to overcome that an individual like politician or political party could have done. How much do you think culture war shit contributed? Probably a little bit in the margins. But the issue is the election was like so widely lost. I don't think you can say that it was you're not looking at these like margin issues, I don't think, to impact things that much. But also, who knows? Maybe like I said, that was my big thing that I said, that it was like a vibes thing on the economy. But maybe there'll be more polling or research that will come out in the future that will that'll change my mind on that over the coming weeks. We'll see. You think it was more that we were fighting the tankies calling Biden Genocide Joe for a year and saying Kamala is a genocide supporter that led to lower turnout? I don't think so. Do you think that the Biden admin did enough to explain the problem behind inflation? It seems like people think it just magically happens based on it. Yeah, I don't know if you can explain that. I don't know if you can do that to an average voter. Like, how many, you've heard me debate people. I think I've asked this question like my last 5 debates where I've asked people, where do you think the inflation came from? And no conservative will ever say COVID. You have to like push them like really, 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 really hard. The whole no one knows about the elector scheme thing is insane and probably could have saved this campaign. I don't think so. I don't think people give a fuck about stuff like that. Democratic norms and institutions, stuff like that, like the average voter just doesn't care. Doesn't it discourage you a bit that someone like Hassan could put in 1/100th the effort and pull 300K viewers just rewatching CNN? No, the Hassan's viewership has nothing to do with his effort. Hassan is that's how many people on Twitch would ever watch something political. That's it. Hassan is given. Like, remember, Hassan is given exclusive and monopolistic control over politics on Twitch. Like, that's just granted by the platform. Like, Hassan is like the official. This is who you go to watch politics for on Twitch. It has nothing to do with his work. It just has to do with the fact that Twitch has granted him that monopoly, basically. The CNN exit poll showed democracy's number 2 issue for voters behind the economy. Yeah, I guess, but I guess now the question is you have to do a sub poll. Like, what do they mean when they say democracy? Who knows? I disagree. I've talked to so many Trump supporters who have absolutely no idea what the electors plot was. They all think January 6th was just a protest got out of hand. No offense, my dude, but they don't care. They don't care. They super don't care. There are some people will care, but not that many. Most people just don't give a fuck about shit like that. I think you may take wokeness not as seriously as the average Joe. My parents seem captured so hard with it. What do you mean take wokeness not as seriously as the average Joe? I don't take wokeness seriously, but the concept of wokeness and how serious other people take it, I take very seriously, of course. What do you mean? Wokeness is a retarded as fuck thing to be obsessed over, but there are a lot of people that are obsessed over it, of course. Those are two... People have a really hard time separating like abstract... there must be a name for this, like in ontology or metaphysics if you study this. People have a really hard time like grasping a thing about a thing. I don't know how to explain this like succinctly, right? Like wokeness is not a huge issue in the United States. It's just not. It's just people obsess over this, and 99% of people it doesn't affect you at all. But the obsession with wokeness is a really big issue. But then people think that these two things are the same thing, right? Like the obsession with wokeness is a big issue. No, it's not. It's this. It's the same thing with like, actually the conservatives are so good. They live in this model. Voter fraud could be similar, right? Like election integrity, right? Election integrity is not a serious issue in this country. But then conservatives will say, well, what? A lot of people think it is. They think it is because you tell them that it is, right? That's the issue, right? But then people confuse this for this a lot. And it's like, okay, maybe you should take election security more seriously. I do take it seriously, but there's not an issue with it. The problem is people think there's an issue with it. That's the issue. Yeah, people have a hard time dealing with the concept of a thing that's not, or the meta of a thing or whatever, rather than the thing itself. Not even the meta of a thing, a thought about a thing, I guess.
Please welcome the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
She's like, how epic if, you know, we're not certifying the election.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
I'm not fucking leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving.
God damn. But that's not what's going to happen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me say, and I love you back. And I love you back. So let me say, My heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting. To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue. And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers who gave so much of themselves, to the poll workers and the local election officials, I thank you all. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran, and the way we ran it, over the 107 days of this campaign. We have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future. And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld.
Remember, all the people telling me to hire somebody for professional audio did the audio for this stream. Don't forget it.
In the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor, by always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work, but like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is, I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain.
Oh, also a thing that I said before that Elon shows you a lot of the hypocrisy in the conservatives. Remember too, okay, because I think I said this before, a lot of people were saying they wanted somebody besides Biden. Remember the two big reasons? I just don't want to vote for somebody that's so old. Or I just don't want to vote for, I wish we had another option. I wish we just had somebody different. Nobody cared about either of those. None of those things ever mattered. Remember, okay? Just don't forget this. Remember, you have to figure out what the language is a proxy for. When people speak, they're speaking emotively, meaning not just with emotion, emotively, in that the words themselves don't have like a factual fact of the matter foundation. They're rooted in an expression of a subjective feeling, right? That's, always remember that.
And yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge. And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering dark time.
What?
But for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service. HU. And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Nice. I will say that one really valuable thing I learned in League of Legends, because for a lot of you guys that might have like histories with like slavery or holocausting or poverty or homelessness or whatever, okay, you don't know anything about true suffering. True suffering is League of Legends bot lane, okay, when you're getting no ganks and you're getting camped, okay? That's true misery, all right? You don't know misery until you've experienced that. However, misery loves company. And when you have company, you're no longer miserable. The best thing about suffering in League was watching my lane partner suffer. And you know what? When my lane partner suffered, it wasn't that bad. So if you're ever feeling lost or hopeless, just find somebody who's more upset than you are and just laugh at them. And then you're good. That's why it was so important last night that we could keep looking to Josiah and Lichtman's stream. Oh, no. But I'm just kidding. I love them both. I was just linked earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Arthur, you're playing on Friday, right? I have you slotted as a player.
Oh, yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so here's the deal, man.
Oh, the little lark mics or whatever. Do these guys use like streamer backpacks, or do they have like disconnects and stuff when they're driving a lot? Or I wonder if Austin's just really good for internet. He has Starlink? Oh, interesting. Gotcha. Trump can win after all this. You should run for president. Wouldn't be too hard if they're true. Maybe we will. Maybe this will be the presidential season arc. Why do you use Chrome without ad blockers? Why not Brave? Isn't Brave like a really weird, different browser? Am I crazy? I don't. Okay, good one. I don't know if this browser's any good or not. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings over my browser. Okay. I have a show tonight. I need to go downstairs and make the shit is clean. I need to shower and stuff. Is there anything else we need to cover before I abandon you? What happened with the Seltzer poll? Who knows? We just know that she's not. That's not something we're looking towards anymore. Jesus Christ. Lauren Chen stuff. I heard that Lauren Chen basically just didn't answer anything. And then got charged with obstruction? Is there like a link to this from yesterday, or? Do we think that Biden could replace any justice before Trump takes over? We do have the Senate, don't we? It's a 50 split. I don't think I don't know if we. I don't even know if we'd be able to do it. It might be too risky. Who knows?
Pursuant to Standing Order 108, Sub 2, and the motion adopted on September 19th, 2024, the committee resumes its study of Russian interference and disinformation campaigns in Canada. I would now like to welcome our witness today, Ms. Lauren Chen. Welcome. I inform the committee members that the witness is accompanied today by her legal...
Can Trump pardon himself? What's happening to his lawsuits? It sounds like Merrick Garland has already moved to dismiss one of them, or I'm sorry, both of the federal ones. So here's an update, I guess, for the Trump legal stuff. So Trump was convicted on... is it 34 felony counts in New York, or is it 31? I should learn the numbers. 34. Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts in New York State, in which you could theoretically, or not theoretically, I mean, part of the sentencing could be jail time. Now, what does that look like? Who the fuck knows? What happens if you can, now, a president, you can only pardon what you are the king of in your jurisdiction. So a governor, who's like the president of a state, can pardon somebody from state charges, but a federal president cannot pardon somebody from I keep reading something in chat. This is really stupid. Sorry. A federal leader, like the president of the United States, can only pardon from federal charges, not from state charges. Somebody said a DOJ cannot prosecute a sitting president destiny. I don't know if that's even necessarily true. I don't even know if that's necessarily true. I think that was maybe the opinion, but that's not a thing that's actually been tested before. But it also doesn't matter. Trump's DOJ can't do it because Trump will just fire everybody and will only choose people that will sycophantically support him. So, yeah. So anyway, there are four cases. There were four big cases that Donald Trump was looking at. One big case was New York State, which he lost. And he got the 34 felony convictions there in front of a jury trial. Another state that he was facing big charges in was a RICO case in Georgia, which had to do with election fraud. And the Georgia RICO, big election fraud January 6th case was kind of sort of based on the same theory or built around Jack Smith's January 6th case, which is a federal case. And then there was the documents case in Mar-a-Lago, which was a second federal case. The two cases that Jack Smith is heading up, the Mar-a-Lago case and the January 6th case, the ones that Trump won criminal immunity for, and then the ones that Judge Eileen Cannon was able to push back in Florida, those two cases are on their way to being dismissed. I believe. I feel like I read so many. Has this not been announced yet? People were saying that Merrick Garland was moving to dismiss, or maybe those are just tweets, so we don't have confirmation yet. But I think there were tweets saying that Merrick Garland is moving to dismiss these cases. But regardless of whether he does or doesn't, it'll happen under Trump. Special counsel Jack Smith expected to wind down Trump prosecutions. Sources. This is reported by ABC News. Special counsel Jack Smith is in active talks with senior leadership at the Justice Department, evaluating ways that he can end his prosecutions of President-elect Donald Trump. Sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. So this means that Trump was successful in pushing back the January 6th case with the criminal immunity stuff, and it means that Thomas was successful when he authored that opinion and gave more credence to Judge Eileen Cannon, who was the federal judge in the Southern District of Florida, that was able to push back the Trump documents case, because now neither of those cases, both of those will be completely destroyed. Georgia, my guess is going to be that the Georgia RICO case will just be dismissed because of so much of the federal case. I'm guessing it was built around a lot of that investigation, and with that completely dismissed, I don't know if the Georgia RICO case, I don't even know if they have the power investigatively to stand on their own. So the Georgia RICO case might be gone, or at least Trump might get dropped out of it. And then who knows what's going to happen with the New York State case? Literally nobody knows. Because the question is let's say in New York State, let's say they try to say that Trump is going to be sentenced to prison. Well, what do? Are you going to arrest and put into prison the sitting president? Like, who knows? Destiny, look, stop linking Rob Noir tweets. I don't care. Yeah. How is this not an abject failure on our institutions? I mean, it's, what are you going to do? But anyway, yeah. So that's the end of all the. That's the end of all the Trump cases. Unless the deep state saves us.
Counsel, Mr. David Amber, currently online via Zoom. The House of Commons Procedure and Practice says witnesses appearing before committee may be assisted by counsel, but they must see committee's permission. When permitted by committee members is counsel when permitted by committee members is restricted to an advisory role and may neither ask questions nor reply on the witness's behalf. Therefore, I would like to request the committee's permission for legal counsel to attend the meeting without the opportunity to intervene or speak on the witness's behalf. Is the committee in agreement? Yes. Also, I'd like to specify that the testimony of our witness is protected by parliamentary privilege. The House of Commons Procedure and Practice states the following. Witnesses appearing before the committee enjoy the same freedom of speech and protection from arrest and molestation as do members of Parliament. I now invite Ms. Chen to make an opening statement of up to 5 minutes. Please go ahead, Ms. Chen.
Seeing as how my lawyer is not going to be able to speak, we do request that this opening statement, which we have also submitted in writing, be filed as an exhibit to speak for itself.
Is the committee in agreement with this? Yes? Okay. Very well. Go ahead. Did you wish to
members of this...
Go ahead. Sorry.
No problem. I'll read it here. Honorable members of the committee and clerk of the committee, LaRoche, I am here today as required by the summons delivered to me. My understanding is you wish to ask me questions about a subject you are studying with a view of making recommendations as part of your legislative role. My understanding is that the subject you are studying is, quote, Russian interference and information campaigns in Canada, end quote. In principle, I have no issue testifying before your committee. However, as you know, Canada and the United States are democratic countries that value civil rights. One right, which is particularly important, is the presumption of innocence, and its companion right to remain silent. Both Canada and the United States strongly value the right to be free from self-incrimination. Presently, I am a target of the criminal investigation in the case of the United States v. Kalashnikov, 24 CR 519, 7th District, New York, 2024. As such, I am entitled to certain protections given to me under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, which provides that I cannot be forced to potentially incriminate myself while testifying under oath. After consulting with counsel, both in Canada and the United States, I have concluded on their advice that answering questions from this committee could reasonably provide a, quote, link in the chain toward a possible indictment against me with respect to the above-mentioned or related proceedings. I recognize that the difficulty is that the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution does not apply in Canada. I am aware that I have no right to plead the Fifth before this committee. I've been advised, and I do believe, that one policy reason behind Canada's lack of protection, similar to the American Fifth Amendment, is that Canada has a different form of protection located within Section 13 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which provides that if I testify in proceedings, I have the right not to have any incriminating evidence so given to be used to incriminate me in other proceedings, subject to exceptions that would not apply here. This is how the American protection against self-incrimination is not formally recognized in Canada. However, Section 13 of the Charter is not formally recognized in the United States, and so it would not be of assistance to me should I cease to answering any questions. Accordingly, it is with the above considerations in mind that I must indicate that I will not answer any questions posed to me once I appear before this committee. I note in taking this position that Section 7 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms protects me in situations where Section 13 does not apply.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Mrs. Chen, for being here with us today. I'll note that you did not necessarily come willingly; you were summoned, and I appreciate your opening testimony. But you've outlined to this committee that you've come here and you won't be answering any of our questions. It's quite frustrating for us as committee members to have a witness here for 2 hours who refuses to answer any questions. And of course, you've been called here, as you outlined, in line with the Russian disinformation study that we're currently engaging, and notably because of your involvement in the indictment from the Department of Justice in the United States. And so I've gone through this indictment at length, and I'm deeply concerned about any involvement you and your company to the media have had. And I have a number of questions for you. So I hope that you may answer some of them and really service the Canadian institutions that you're here for. And I would just remind you that this is a committee of Parliament. We are members of Parliament at this table. You've been rightfully summoned, and it is your obligation, under my belief and the belief of our committee, that you should be answering these questions. That is the duty that you have to the Canadian institutions that you are here today. That we all work hard. We serve this committee. This is the Public Safety and National Security Committee of Canada. So I'd urge you to reconsider answering our questions. This is a very serious matter that you've engaged in, or allegedly through this indictment. And again, I'd ask that you respectfully engage in a dialogue with us today and answer our questions. So there are a number of issues in here that I'd like to go over with you. But of course, first and foremost, I'd like to ask you, were you directly receiving payments from Russia today to proliferate the propaganda from the Russian government to your North American audience?
For the reasons outlined in my opening statement, I have no comment.
Ms. Chen, again, I'd ask you to reconsider. The allegations in this indictment are very serious, and your reach is quite far. And so I'd ask that you reconsider. Again, I'll ask you perhaps another issue. Are you aware that Canada imposed special economic measures against Russia today in 2022?
For the reasons already given, I will not be answering this question.
Are you aware in 2023 that further sanctions were imposed on Russia's today's parent company, for example? And are you aware that the Russian state-owned media company, the parent company, and the head of the International Department of Russia today is also sanctioned by the Canadian government?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
All right. Ms. Chen, did you ever receive payment prior to the war in Ukraine from Russia today for services rendered?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
In the indictment, it outlines that you wrote 25 opinion articles for Russia today. Can you confirm that?
Hey,
For the reasons already
Queen.
given, I have no comment.
This indictment, Ms. Chen, is quite serious in that it purports or it alleges that you falsely or you misled commentators to your company, Tenant Media, that were being paid by Russian agents in essence. Can you comment on that?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
You can understand that the Public Safety and National Security Committee of Canada is incredibly concerned that if there's a Canadian citizen such as yourself receiving, well, according to the indictment, $10 million and falsely misleading commentators of your platform where that money is coming from, and the purpose of that commentary is to propagate Russian government positions that deliberately undermine the West. Do you have any concerns of that, of the moral authority of that?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Mr. Chair, this is obviously quite frustrating. Ms. Chen has been called for this committee. The allegations are incredibly serious that she took $10 million for her company from Russian agents, withheld the source of that funding to the commentators that she hired for Tenant Media with a purpose to proliferate Russian propaganda, which
visiting Benghazi. So, of course, I knew we had a presence in Benghazi. I can't speak to what someone either...
As the ARB, it found...
It's not the same. I don't know if people think I was like joking when I said this or I was exaggerating. It was 10 hours of answering questions about Benghazi.
But still, that's pretty impressive.
11 hours.
His family and the family...
That she sat in front of Congress to answer questions about this. It was full cooperation with the FBI on the emails shit. I don't know if Trump has ever answered a question in his fucking life that he didn't have to under threat of imprisonment or gunpoint. Unbelievable, dude. The differences. Anyways, that's okay. It's all good. Okay. Can you tell me what the Benghazi story was? Basically, conservatives work on this like annual or biannual edge cycle where they wait for some soldier to die or some civilian to die, citizen of the U.S. or whatever, and then they try to see like who killed them and then who they can blame it on, and then they just splooge their whole fucking load, and they switch from edge cycling to gooning, and they'll goon for days, weeks, months, depending on who they want to aim at. And Benghazi was basically, I actually don't know the details that well, so I don't want to get like super into it, but basically we had an embassy that came under attack, and I believe soldiers died there while defending it, and people say that Hillary Clinton knew about it in advance and allowed it to happen because of her recklessness, and Republicans wanted to find some way to fucking charge Hillary Clinton like personally with a fucking crime over it, and that was their goon cycle on edging for so long, waiting for some U.S. American soldiers to die or whatever over it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna shower and make sure everything's good to go downstairs. I love you guys. I'll be back in a couple hours. Stay safe. Be careful. Don't die. I don't know who else is joining us tonight. Yeah. I think it's Pisco. I wonder if irrelevant. I don't know. We'll see. Go to merch.destiny.gg. Wait, destiny.gg/merch. I think we have shirts if you want to commemorate this awesome election time. I'll see you in a couple hours. Be careful. Reverendo cappuccino, pappuccino, cappuccino, 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 my dude, eyes. I'll catch you guys next stream, Reno. Okay. We got a lot of reading and studying. We'll figure something out. Listen, I learned a lot this year, these last couple of years. But this is only 1 year on Vyvanse, okay? We got 4 years ahead of us. to figure out the ultimate plan, okay? And to start training in our Honor Boys death camp. I'm just kidding. All right, I'll see you guys in a few hours. Bye.